Hello, Assalamu alaikum. I hope that everybody is doing great. Our today's lecture is about building an effective paragraph in expository writing, and this lecture is actually presented to you by Farooq Ali Khan from the Department of English, Shahid Benazir Bhutto University. This lecture is actually built for the students of BS Computer Science in their third semester, which is part of their course. So let's begin with our conception of what an effective paragraph is. So when we look at a paragraph, we the first thing that we notice about paragraph is that the way language is structured um, horizontally, in the same way we can state that language is also structured vertically. So this syntagmatic structure and paradigmatic structure are part of expository writing. Now, in the same way, when we look at the horizontal structure, we come to understand that, for instance, in simple sentences, we have subjects followed by verb, or subject followed by verb and objects, or subject followed by verbs and then by complements, or subject followed by verbs or adverbials, or subject followed by verb and then double objects. So if we look at this structure, we come to understand that every sentence which is part of expository writing in academia is basically organized systematically, or in other words, it's structured. In much the same way, when we look at any instance of an academic writing, we come to understand that all the assignments, term papers, articles, theses that are being part of academic writing or expository writing, they also have a kind of a paradigmatic structure. And the unit of this paradigmatic or vertical structure is basically a paragraph. Now, what is a paragraph? A paragraph is basically a group of sentences which is related to a single topic or a single theme or a single idea. And the example of it you can find in your Bedford Handbook on page number 88, where in the paragraph, all living creatures manage some form of communication. You can find that these related sentences actually aiming towards a single idea. Now, what is the purpose of paragraph? Now, paragraphs, as I've told you, they are part of expository writing, and as per academic requirements, they are part of supporting your assignments, your written assignments, your theses, your articles, your term papers. It's all part of supporting these sort of writing, and it actually advances clarity in this regard. Now, an example of it is also given on page 88, which pertains to communication by different species. You know, and when we further move on to the characteristics of an effective paragraph. Now, a paragraph, it must have unity. It must have a single idea to express itself in the supporting sentences. It must have coherence, meaning everything should be connected systematically with one another, and it should be properly developed and organized. So now we are coming to the main point, focusing on a main point: unity and topic sentences in a paragraph. Unity in a paragraph, basically, it's the one central main idea which the paragraph is written about. Now, all the sentences which are provided in a paragraph, it must exhibit a single idea, or one theme, or one meaning, or one topic, in other words. And an example of it can still be found on page 88 of the Bedford Handbook, which has been provided to you. It's the male stickleback fish regularly swim upside down. So it's an example of unity in a paragraph. And the second thing is role of the topic sentences. Now, topic sentences are usually provided in the beginning of a paragraph, and it summarizes the entire idea of which paragraph reflects. Um, and an example of it is, to date, the full ramification of the oil spill remains a question mark. It's also there on your handbook on page 88. So next come the placement of topic sentences. Well, usually, as I've told you, the topic sentences are placed at the start of a paragraph, and it may vary, in manner or in style. An example of it again can be found on page 88 of your handbook, which is, but flowers are not the only source of spectacle in the wilderness. So this is an example of the topic sentence. Next come developing the main point, elaboration, and evidence. So a paragraph, it is usually written to clarify and strengthen the topic that you are writing, which part of you, it may be part of your term paper or your essay or your research article or thesis. So actually it clarify and strengthen the topic. An example of it is on page 90 of the handbook, which is quilt making served as an important means of social, political, and artistic expression. You can look into this example, and within it you can, find out the importance of evidence. Methods of development. Okay, so how are paragraphs developed? Paragraphs are developed usually with the help of narratives and statistics. You can develop your paragraph by storytelling or by just providing quantified data. And an example of it again is on page 91 of your handbook, which is, when you think about it, it is impossible to lose 10 pounds of fat in 10 days. uh, Next comes the length and depth of paragraph. Now, first of all, it is imperative that you ensure adequate evidence. You have relevant or appropriate evidence to support your paragraph. And again, the example is in the same paragraph, which is about the burning of calories on page 91 of the Bedford Handbook. So next come, the pattern of organization of a paragraph. Now, if we look at the examples and illustrations, we find that um, paragraphs are used to clarify abstract ideas. For example, Harriet Tubman's strategy of conducting on page 92. Apart from that, paragraphs are structured on the basis of comparison and contrast, and these comparisons or similarities and differences are highlighted. And a good example is, so Grant and Lee were in complete contrast on page 95 of your Bedford Handbook. Another pattern of organization or pattern of development, or how you structure your paragraph, is basically, you know using the cause and effect strategy. Now, cause and effect strategy, the strategy of causality can also be a good way of describing relationships. For example, the rise of rail transport changed American farming. This example again can be found on page 97 of your Bedford Handbook. Now, next comes the coherence of a paragraph. And what do we mean by coherence? Coherence is actually the um, the guarantee that paragraph flow in a smooth and consistent way. And a first example of it is, you need to link ideas clearly, and these can be done by using transitions and structured sentences. And an example is, though the open space classroom works for many. It's on page 100 of your Bedford Handbook. And again, the repetition of keywords, it provides cohesion. And an example is plots hedged by several servants in on page 101 of your Bedford Handbook, and then using parallel structures. So these parallel structures, it actually creates a kind of a rhythm and emphasis, and an example of it is the salt spills, a knife falls to the floor, on page 101 on your Bedford Handbook. Now, next come the adjustment of paragraph length and finding the right balance. So, usually, what are the expectations of readers? Um, a paragraph should be nearly between 100 and 200 words for the sake of ease or for the sake of appropriateness. And there can be exceptions based on the topic you are working with in your academia. This is not a fixed thing. In scholarly work, in your research articles, or in thesis, you can exceed this range of sentences. Next comes, the difference between short and long paragraphs. Now, short paragraphs, they basically focus on points, and the long ones, they explore complexity. And an example of it is paragraph longer than 200 words appear in scholarly writing. You can find this paragraph on page 106. Okay, and here are now some of the practical steps you need to break or combine paragraphs to clarify organization or avoid monotony. You need to be not using the same tone. Basically, being a monotone means that uh, you just seem like your writing seems less human. So, yes, it is imperative. Now, for the practice of mastery, I'm giving you, um, some practice, and for that, I want you to identify topic sentences in all the paragraphs that have been actually referred in this lecture, and on the basis of identification of topic sentences, I want you to develop a paragraph, um, come up with a topic sentence, and then use evidence to fully developing it, and then you should review your paragraph to identify the gaps or the problems in the logical flow or coherence of paragraph. Now, this brings us to the conclusion, and the key takeaways from the lecture are: first, understand paragraph and unity. you know Understanding paragraph unity means that we should maintain a single idea, and all the sentences of a paragraph should be about that single idea. Second is the development of depth and coherence. Now, while writing a paragraph, it is imperative that one should use evidence, transitional device, and there should be a logical flow to support the main point of a paragraph. And finally, practice and review. It is imperative that you practice if you want to refine your academic writing with exercises that are being there in your Bedford Handbook. And you should also, review your work, identify some flaws within it, and you can also share with it on my email address. I think it's enough for today. I hope you are doing great. See you next time. Bye bye.